Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Lupe Alcides. I am a Chicano and a Catholic from the west side of San Antonio, Texas. This is my own personal biased opinion. It's a little drizzly. I had left a umbrella in the car, but then I switched cars, so man, I forgot to put the umbrella back in the car. So that's not the point of the video. I just reposted a video about days of obligation, right? And I think that a lot of Catholics don't realize that there's certain days of obligation that you're supposed to go to mass, and I love that the guy explains what oblige means. Down here in the South, when you say thank you, one way to say thank you to somebody is to say much obliged, right? And that just means that I'm indebted to you. But I think that it's interesting that the word oblige is the same word as obligation, right? It's the root of obligation. You're obliged to do something, right? You're obligated to go to church, and I think a lot of Catholics don't realize that. Some of us that are very, I hate to say it, but some of us that are very critical to our brothers and sisters in faith call them holiday Catholics, right? You only go on your birthday, you only go on Christmas and Easter, and that's it. There's more days of obligation than just that. You're obligated to go to church on those days. And what's very interesting is the Catechism says if you deliberately, now it's one thing that, let's say like me, I work late. I set the alarm and I make point to go to church on Sundays, even if I'm tired. I'm like, oh my God, because I want to go to church, right? It's a day of obligation. If you oversleep, God will probably understand, right? I know he worked late, he overslept, he was so tired. Just cut him a break, right? It's okay if he misses the one day. Stuff happens, right? I remember somebody was talking about how sometimes when you go places, you may not know where the church is at. And I thought it was interesting that somebody even explained that even if you go camping, find out where the nearest church is at and make an effort to go to Mass on Sunday or Saturday night. When I visit my mom, I know that there's a Catholic church in their little town, and I went there, and it's actually pretty nice. Even if you try to use the excuse as vacation, there's Catholic churches everywhere. So you can't get away with that as an excuse, because there's a church in almost every city. I don't know of any cities that don't have a church, even small towns. The small town where I grew up had a Catholic church. And you have to get permission to miss, right? You actually have to get permission from your priest. Hey, Father, I'm going to be up in the mountains climbing Mount Everest, right? And for some reason we wanted to go on Sunday. Can I be excused from church? Yeah, you need an excuse from your priest. And then I think from what I understand from the podcast is that they'll make it so you make up that day of obligation, right? I'm trying to remember what else that I wanted to say about that. Long story short, there's days of obligation. You as a Catholic, it's your responsibility to know what those days are. You have Catholic calendars. You can use those that tell you what days of obligation are. If you have to work, I'm pretty sure your priest will understand. Just know that there are days of obligation. And I think it's important también to know like what it really means to be Catholic. Like when I was going to RCIA, I learned a lot. I was never Catholic. I was never raised Catholic. And I was telling my old GM at Advance, like, hey, there's certain things that you have to do. It's like, what? No, that's BS, man. I grew up Catholic. I never heard of that. It's like, yeah, it's a thing. But a lot of people that are raised Catholic don't either know or don't remember. Because if you were taught certain things as a kid, I'm pretty sure, just like the stuff that we learned in school, who's the 15th president of the United States? I don't know. I'm pretty sure I learned it, but I don't remember that, right? Especially if you're not like devout, practicing, like hardcore Catholic, that you know all the days of obligation, you know all the rules, you know all the changes that have been made over the past few years. If you don't know stuff like that, how do you know? Unless you make an effort to be informed. And I think it's important for us to be informed. And it's not because of the rules, right? It's not because, you have to follow the rules because they're strict and they're going to blah, 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 whatever. I think it's because it helps you on your journey to heaven, right? That's what we tell the kids in catechism classes, that the whole point is our journey to earth, and we teach the kids to be the best versions of themselves every single day, right? So if you're trying to be the best version of yourself and you're trying to get to heaven, but you're not going to church to worship God, to praise God, and to grow your relationship with God, then you're hindering yourself, right? You're hindering yourself. So to help you, it's important to know these things, like days of obligation. Some people just don't know. Like I said, my old GM is like, I didn't even know that. That's not a rule. Are you sure? I'm gonna ask, because I don't think that's a real thing. Because some people think like the fasting thing on Lent, it's only like a certain day or whatever. It's like, no, it's every Friday. And technically, if you want to be like really, 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 really Lent centered, you shouldn't eat meat the whole time. Some people don't eat meat at all because they're trying to be more like Jesus, right? And because Jesus only ate fish. And it's important that we know stuff like, hey, what days should I fast? What days can I not eat meat? Or should I not eat meat? We had a situation with one of our students, she was in track, and the school only fed them certain things. She's like, well, what if they only have this, and what if they only have that? Well, you need to make an effort to take your own lunch if that's what it takes, because you can't. I think it's very easy for a lot of people to just make excuses, right? Well, the Cowboys are playing on Sunday, so I can't go to church, right? It's the first Sunday of Fiesta, so I can't go to church, or whatever, right? But it's only hindering yourself, right? Unless somebody's keeping tabs on you, which I think we should be keeping tabs on each other. It's like, hey, bro, why weren't you at church Sunday? You need a ride, I'll pick you up, bro. Come on. You gotta go to church. But you're only hindering yourself. So do it for yourself and your relationship with God.